I would like to go through very fast, but before that, I have to understand this or share with you this whole livelihood story. When we talk about livelihood and we talk about numbers of livelihood, we need to understand how serious the issue is. It's Ajivika, and it's basically a single Ajivika or a single livelihood takes a lot of efforts at a various dimension and various kinds of action to make a real impact on ground. I would start it with a dampening voice or dampening thought. We are crossing now 70 years of independence and all these NGOs, our history, the work we do, and many professionals with all that wisdom and I was listening all this enthusiasm. Thanks for all that. We are changing. There are a lot of things positive happening, but there are challenges equally. Post COVID, and COVID has shown us what we are, where we are really. We may boast of things that we did that and we are doing that much quantity of work. But then why 90% people went to urban India? Why the rural livelihood has been so much in the problem state? We are not able to retain even the 10%. So it's a serious thought. We have to think around, and especially those youths who are so much excited. I would say it's great. It's really very pleased. I'm pleased to see those excitement, but also we need to be very realistic. Perhaps हम हिंदी में कहें तो पाँव जमीन पे रखने बहुत जरूरी है. And we are telling a lie. We, not you. I mean, collectively, we are telling a lie. Otherwise, things would not have been the way it has been exposed. It's a total responsibility what we saw in COVID. It's not a government responsibility. It's a collective responsibility. And this shows our mirror. And let us see the mirror. And I would suggest, I will make a presentation on a single animal, and that's the smallest work we did on a smallest thing you could think of in livelihood. That too on a goat. The, of course, is the oldest civilization animal. And for your information, I would just share with you what this small livestock take us to do amount of work, various integration, the four pillars I will start with the technology, the finance, market, and institution. Unless and until you didn't work in all those four, what you are trying to do is highlighting a few photographs or snaps of your activity, and perhaps the real things are somewhere which you are not able to document. Because success has a photograph, failure not in development. We also always success. The photographs always say success. It's good for creating hope. But failure makes you to learn more than the success. Success is for, it's a problematic success. It's not a real success. So I will start with all dampening things, and maybe you may blame me that putting in this, but I am like this. I want to be talk with a very, at this level, we have to talk hard. We have to understand hard as a professional. Unless and until we didn't have and we list out 13 activities and 13 livelihoods, and we did all this and we started from technology to market in 1 year, I would suggest that's not the real truth. There must have been something to just check it out where you have missed it. So I will like to go a bit fast. This is what the Go Trust is story. It's a story of a few people, in fact, and few professionals like you, very ordinary, or we can put even the extraordinary have a real name, very simple people who didn't know much of this. We came out of the college and I spent my 10 years in a various development sector. And then the Go Trust started, and you could not even imagine more simple people, person like me who had nothing, no knowledge and no at such skill, and not today even. But then we identified this goat as a livelihood which was significant, and we tried to build an experiment. I will call this whole organization an experiment. The name is the Goat Trust. So I'll go simple with the story, what we tried to do, and to disclaimer, we did nothing in fact. What we tried to do is to make people to understand a bit and do a simple thing, the simplest thing we can do on the earth. So this is the story of Goat Trust building and livelihood-based study, which is not for highlighting Goat Trust or any again disclaimer for that. We just want to share with you a story, how things happen and how things can be changed if we have a concentrated effort with a lot of people and a lot of organizations behind us and a lot of policy support agencies. So this is what the whole world map. If you see the livestock, 500 million families across, and if you look into the red, very simple, and look your own country, India, the map, the totally red. That means the income of the livestock farmers is one of the lowest in the world in our country, and there are other African countries on the same. So if you talk about the whole global and 500 million families, so we are not talking about just 10, 20. It's a huge amount of people. If you look into your own country, if you see the one dot represents 10,000 goats. So I'm still talking about one single animal, but you see the livelihoods opportunity for that. And across the north, east, south, west, regional, whatever the way you could look it, it's across the country. Maybe up to Himalayas, up to desert, wherever you go, the boat will go along with. So that kind of livelihoods in our country, but still, the whole picture when we started 10 years back, when I had my own type of frustration, you could say, why we don't talk about such a big livelihood, and every time we come with a very new kind of livelihood which is not acceptable to the poor or not affordable to the poor, and we talk skilling and all that, whether these 140 millions and 225 millions small livestock, 300 millions livestock, does not they need again skilling? Does not their sons and daughters need to be skilled in this also? That's an open question. And when we talk about skilling, we perhaps need to understand this also. So I'll go fast. Who are these goat farmers? You can look for these pictures might have come to you wherever you are and wherever you are visiting a village. These pictures didn't used to attract me around 15 years back. So this is how this whole idea of 50 million livestock, what are the risks we have. I would not go into any details, but if you look the risk, number of risks and number of profiles, the agroclimatic, dryland regions, largely women, aged, old. So that kind of, do I need to move it? Obviously, I'm getting a notice. Should I move it to window? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Do I need to move it, my window?
No, sir, this is visible.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So if you look into ST, Muslim, OBCs, go by wealth ranking, go by Hamlet, go by any tool you have, these people will come into the one of the vulnerable people across India. That's what our experience suggests. So I will go very quickly. If you look into again economic status and social caste, the goats and sheep and the backyard policy comes into that largely the segment we always talk about. So it's not goat or backyard, it's what they are doing and how you can make non-farm from the farm. That way I will come because there is also a umbilical cord relationship. It's always non-farm is not independent of farm and vice versa. In a village economy, things are interrelated. So I will go quickly about this. Yeah, so where we started work with very small, around 2004 when I left my job, and then I started this Goat Trust by 2006 to 8. I did a lot of research kind of things. And that's what today the organization works. Again, disclaimer, this is not what we work. This is what the impact somehow is getting on here. This is what the problem, if you see in livestock, especially mortality and morbidity, I didn't need to repeat. We have around 35% mortality in small ruminants in some of the areas and average 20 to 22%. So if one fourth of your assets get lost, you can never earn income out of a business. So I'm again coming to 50 million families, and that's the status, 25% asset loss. So it's a big opportunity. Genetic degradation, yeah, of course, unless and until you didn't have a good machine, whatever business you do, it will not yield economic return to you. So here the livestock is a machine which you can improve by grace of God. You can improve the further machine because it's a breeding principle. But the kind of breeding services we have in small livestock in the country is not up to mark, no way. Feed scarcity and seasonal stress is the third problem the people feel in our country, and we need to have some solutions. And then the market as usual, but there are other reasons why the market is a problem. I just conclude this part of the things that technical services, financial services, institutional services, and marketing services. There may be many services available, you need to assess, and wherever the service gap is there, you need to act. Don't do a one part thing and then take credit that you have generated livelihoods. You can take it, but fundamentally, operationally, it's difficult that there will be livelihood generated unless and until all these four dimensions didn't work well for a poor. And I have to add the word pro-poor in all of that. Pro-poor technology, pro-poor financial services, pro-poor market services, and poor institutions, people's own institution, and especially those people's institution. So that makes our task much complicated in livelihood. First, to install all four works, then again the additional agenda is making poor to own it, command it. And that's where the livelihood is such a complex thing. All those four, the marketing much more complex, much more difficult than to be said in any webinar or seminar. We can say we did the marketing, but sustainable marketing on a scale requires a lot of work to be done. So you all know about these financial services and technical services. I will not go into detail. I will speed this also. I will give the key innovation. So what I mean to say is when you work in livelihood, you have to be innovative. So always focus what is innovative you are thinking. If you are putting the same solution which is lot of other people or high capital people are taking up, you will never be successful. Your technology needs to be for a pro-poor, that means a small scale industry. It should be affordable, it should be rough handling. So there is a huge need of that kind of technology where I see the professionals should play a role. I just give you two examples from livestock industry. Artificial insemination in goat. There was a bit of research, but they're not happening in the country. And what we did in last 6-7 years, we demystify this whole process. Can it be done? And we trained the people. We also demystify the process of semen freezing for goat. We went as much as we can do with the various research institutions, and we then integrated, and now we partnered with Veterinary University Mathura to scale it up. So if we shy away from a technology, and if you didn't understand the technology, I think livelihood becomes challenging to promote. Similar is in goat pregnancy diagnosis. There is a machine which can diagnose pregnancy in goat, and we did it. We imported it. We contextualized it. So even a housing for goat, even a feeder for a goat. Suppose I have 2 goats, how I can use the feeder which costs 30,000. So I use the basic here as a person, development professional, your knowledge and using the Google, you can do wonders. Google is a university in that case. So what I mean, role of professional is multi-dimensional, and they need to look into the technology, look into the finance, look into the market, and be innovative. So it's again multitasking and multi-challenges than typical role or any other sectors we do, as a development professional, our role is really, really multi-dimensional. It requires perhaps multi-skilling or multi, I would say, your own qualities to handle all this. Uh, See this Pasu Sakhi, and when you learn, your role is demystify. Don't do that. Don't try to do as you do in skilling. Skilling does not mean even if you're only educated. We have 30-40% illiterate people in the country, and by illiteracy I mean even the fifth class is conceptually or operationally they are illiterate. So how to work with them is a challenge, and the moment you leave this 30% population, the livelihood of the country will always remain in the trouble. Especially these women, rural women, each of us understand, can we empower them? So one of the idea we looked into is the livestock service provider, and that's what we call Pasu Sakhi, and graduating this Pasu Sakhi to an entrepreneurship scale. You could see the grace of that, making them a sort of giving them dignity to the rural women. And these is the small things we tried to do. By God's grace, partly accepted by many other organizations. So I will not, now coming to this non-farm case of a farm like neem. This neem sale business is more than 6,000 crore in the country. And one neem tree costs around 3,500 can give you every year if you go into oil extraction. So when you look your natural resource in a village, can that be converted into a product? So this is a non-farm sector, but it comes the raw material comes from the farm sector. Raw material comes the village own property. In Aurangabad district, especially in Maharashtra, we did a study, and our study is around 20 to 25 crore rupees of annual income can be earned by these neem owning people. So that what I mean to say again, not any thing that we did that or we are doing that. More importantly, are we looking the resources of our village, making those resources to be used by the people, and if you are doing, I mean you are getting the right direction. If you are bringing something from somewhere, just because market is and people should produce, that's fine, but you have to look also for the sustainability, the cost of those things, and the people's own strength. So here you could see goat, cattle feed, neem oil, packaging and branding and all that. It's around a crore of business we generated, and this has gone to this kind of goat farmer, which is, that's why the goat farming is not just rearing goats. It's a value chain. That's what I want to discuss with you. It's a value chain employment which you can generate. Similarly, herbals, medicines in this country, again 9,000 crore rupees business. 1% of share can also be taken by the rural poor themselves, and you as a person can promote all this. And you classify it's farm or non-farm. It's not at least farm because we are taking from raw material comes from the farm, but the product goes to non-farm. So there are few lines into this whole. I will now quickly go Pasu chart. So whatever you suggest in your village while giving them training, you suggest you give training, a lot of training. I always read on social media that did this training, especially the livestock is such a training, everybody does it and every day does it. But what we suggest in livestock training is that product available locally, whether the people have access to these products, or we are giving just a lecture and then coming out. I'm leaving this question to you. I'm not blaming any of you, just I'm taking you to that idea that those what you teach or say to be consumed, can you make them to produce it? And if they can produce what they consume, a part of this whole economy will be solved. So we have been trying like waste of goat dung kind of thing. Can we make the manure? Can we package it? Can we make it a presentable thing? And you might have seen some of the discussions we had other platforms. We sold around 40 lakh rupees of goat dung manure, Lucknow and Maharashtra and Tripura and MP. So, and what we did is perhaps tip of iceberg. The scope is huge. What we are trying to do is taking something, just demonstrating it, just making an example. So if you go into the training materials, then you need to develop videos, and all of you do that. But as simple as you can do that, especially the animal husbandry training, I find the trainings always target a large herd size people. टू दो बकरी वाले का ट्रेनिंग या एक गाय वाले का ट्रेनिंग कैन नॉट बी द सेम व्हाट यू लुक फॉर 30-40 cows or say 100 or 200 goats commercial farming. So in development sector, when you design a tool which is for the commercial orientation, perhaps we need to review it for whom we are developing this. So this is how the goat farm kind of thing. This is just I see you what is the potential of goat, and people may say you there is no milk in goat, and I mean because of the goat trust and my passion with that I just wanted to share with you the potential is huge. 2 liter milk can be done by a small goat, and it's a choti guy, it's a small cow. So once you look and perspective you change, things will change, and that's what we are trying to do. So this artificial insemination by the rural youth across the country, and if you have 325 million, 325 million large ruminant, 225 small ruminant, you could just look into what is the scope of skilling in these sectors. Is these skills are not important? Have we saturated these skills that only we look on urban skilling? So I think these are the questions post-COVID which need to be asked now much emphatically, for whose we are doing skilling, for where we want to send them, and if you are sending them just to serve, then we are creating a sort of slaves. Forgive me for using that word, but post-COVID, whoever seen their situation perhaps will act like me, or perhaps speak when your heart gets, hurted, you feel that they have been cheated. Coming back, AI-born kids and the quality of life, if you see that's almost 50% higher body weight you can make. So the whole country, and if they together you can make a significant change. You are seen in cows, but nobody talks about goat. It gives almost twice in 14 months. It gives more than one babies every time. So what will be the genetic potential of doing it? So how much production we can increase, and if the production increases number, we need more, less than what we have. Already we have enough goat in the country, so we need to decrease the population. So all these are just food for thoughts. See this how cement processing the industry you can look. It's again in rural India. How you can create a Amul out of goat. What we are dreaming now, and that's the only thing I have is to dream bigger now. And of course, I want to transform this whole idea to a business scale, and we are now more into a business kind of thing, working with the people. So, can we change this whole pricing of boats? Can we create again an aggregation at village level? If any of these things excite you, even a 1% or 2%, I welcome you to the boat trust. And of course, to explore it further, there are scopes, immense scopes. Can we weigh our goats? Can we create a system of weighing, and a simple weighing? Again, if you see the cost, it's a 700 rupees machine which you can use and empower your people to weigh goats and then get that price based on weight. So simple things, even the simple mobile, the old ones we are using for coding and sending the message from village up to our head office, and every day we are collecting how many birds, how many goats, where they are being goats get to be sold, and that's what the dream we have is every day we are able to sell say 20,000 to 30,000 goats, and I'm sharing this dream with the hope that sometimes your well wishes makes us to achieve it together. So these are e-commerce. This is a boat mill, and you could see what it takes to have a new product in the market. You might have heard about goat milk, and our slogan is "ये दूध नहीं औषधि है." That gives you the product idea. We are not selling milk; we are selling a medicine. So the moment way we have designed and Mr. Rudraj Singh is leading this. So we need professionals like you who can design it, get it, and we can work on together. So any idea requires all these to be done. Even the goat milk face cream, goat milk soap, and when you come to these labels, goat milk soap and face cream, I think now you can understand whether it's not a goat farming, it's beyond that. It can go to other countries, we can be exporters of these products. That's how the value chain and this how the non-farm emerging from farm can make India a different country altogether. So we can build on our strength. So that's an example, and of course we exported soap, and we are again looking one more company into goat milk cosmetics. So you're welcome to participate or put equity. I will not go into detail of anything. This is a banking system where we are not giving a cash, we give animal and we take animal. To make the microfinance or financial system very pro-poor, we need to avoid cash as much as possible, because for the cash, poor has to go to market, and market is exploitative for poor by and large. I'm not making any activism statement, but that's the practical thing. If you purchase a small quantity, you lose money. If you sell a small quantity, you lose money. The moment we know that, then why we export them again and again to market? So either the first line is true, or the second line is we are exposing them to market just to get exploited, or we have to aggregate. That itself is a task and Herculean task. So coming to last thing, to save the dreams, things are possible. What I learned in last night, 12 years of this journey, where only single animal I have to think around from morning to evening, and a beautiful team, very mission-oriented team, and thousands of now well-wishers who always motivates us to do. The whole story of the Gotra stage, it's not a glorification. We have done nothing. Cannot do. In fact, I didn't have any skills to do anything. But the whole story says even a single animal, if you take and build on a value chain from a goat farming up to goat milk cosmetics in a European market where we have been exported a bit now, and because of COVID the things are into, but we'll prove that could be possible. So what this whole story I wanted to tell with you is it's possible. Even if you start with a small thing, it can grow into big, and that takes only one thing we have. I didn't have intelligence, I didn't have any understanding. Only one thing perhaps we have, which I perceive makes the things to work, is a persistency. We last 10 years we worked on these animals, and we had everything to listen. गोट से ये होता है, गोट से कुछ नहीं हो सकता. But then once we have a dream, once we have something to prove, and prove to yourself, not the world, not the others in fact. So Goat Trust perhaps proved, and that's why we have launched now Diplo and Livestock Business Management. It's whole story of managing the business. It's not about just putting charity and all these things. The whole business we are doing is now moving almost 90% from charitable to a business. With the farmers, after graduating it to a level, you can do a business. That's now the next proving things we are trying to do. So thank you for listening such a long story, but that's what I mean, the life story. If you listen, it will take time. It took me 15 years, and that's why I would say I took 15 minutes to share with you. Any question, anything, and to be honest, I would just summarize. Let us be honest, let us speak the truth, let us be fearless. And the last line I would repeat again. The only thing as a professional we can make change is if we are fearless. If we didn't fear with the such a kind of thing which just around you sometimes make you fear. So if you are a fearless, I would welcome you to discuss this further. And if people or person like us can make it, you are 3 times or 4 times more smarter than us, you can certainly do it. Thank you. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Sanjeev sir, for taking us through the journey of Goat Trust, and also helping us out in understanding how business management perspective could be integrated in livestock value chain, and especially how the potential productivity and actual productivity, the gap that exists in it, how we could bridge it through smaller and incremental initiatives. So we have one question which has come through different partners as well as the participants here today, and everyone wants to know how this model could be implemented at a cluster level where we have about 10 to 15 villages, and what would be the key modalities involved in such a project?
Great question. Very simple and I would say favorite to me. It's very simple. If you have 10 to 15 village, you take a unit. We promote one Pasu Shakti kind of thing. One women who is basically giving two things. One is the input and second is the training. No external trainer will be sustainable because training is not a one-time activity. It's an everyday activity. You need to again remind them the skill, the practice, the material. So one Pasu Shakti, if you put into your 15 villages, so 15 Pasu Shakti, one for each. For sustainability of one Pasu Shakti, you need 40 to 50 livestock farmers, 250 to 30 to 300 goat units. So how to convert goat unit is goat, that's the unit which is the equal 10 quality makes one goat unit, and one crossbred is equal to 10 goats, and one general goat cow is equal to 5 goats. So just make a goat unit with a 250 to 300, one Pasu Shakti, and the cluster level you need to have a, we call it a community livestock manager or a cluster livestock manager, which manages these Pasu Shakti and the business. And then make it an aggregation point, I would call trading point, within a year when the things are quality there and the mortality has been taken care of. So it's all about a cluster approach.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.